Hi, everybody. Let me start recording. Okay, I'm recording, but I can hear myself speak, so it's a bit distracting. Okay, so I wanted to create a video specifically for people who are working from home and affected by the COVID lockdown measures. This happened last year and it's happening again this year. We are having work from home, and today the government just announced that they don't plan to have stricter restrictions. However, the restrictions will continue in Singapore until the 13th of June, where the default mode is work from home. And so I've actually had several clients ask me questions uh, around the anticipation of uh, the effects of this lockdown and working from home, because I think last year they didn't cope so well. And so they started to ask me questions around like, how can they manage this better? So I have a few tips for you, and I hope they will be useful. So one of the first things that I started to share with my clients is that there's what we call physical, mental, and emotional health. Okay, physical, mental, and emotional. Physical, mental, emotional. So when it comes to asking for boundaries and setting your requests and expectations to your family, to your partner is very important. So I have a long history of working from home. So the lockdown measures really didn't affect me that much. And it really took me about 2 years to get used to working from home. And so I really understand what it means when it's really difficult to kind of like work with conditioning your brain to get used to this working from home. So I'm just going to share some of the things that I felt has helped me. The first thing is to create boundaries, and it could be physical, it could be mental. And the mental is very, very important because we are mental beings, and it's not what you do, it's also how you do it and what you tell yourself. So your inner talk is very important. So when I say create boundaries, physical boundaries, okay, boundaries, physical. So you can actually use masking tape to demark your work area. You could use chalk. You could chalk. You could use tape, any kind of tape, like a warning tape. You could use string. It's a physical thing that will help you and your family. And if you even want to, if you have the budget for it, you could even purchase and create a little tent in your house. And some people don't have the space to have a separate room. So these things could be done, okay? So having the physical and having the mental. So how you can do this is you can create a to-do list so that you won't forget the things that you need to pick up the next day. So I used to do a to-do list, and I would have to tell myself again and again through the night, especially when I can't sleep. Don't worry, you wrote everything down, you're not going to forget, and you're going to be able to pick it up the next day. So when I'm sleeping and certain task comes to mind, sometimes I have to get up and write it down so that I can sleep better. So having a to-do list and telling yourself, I can pick it up the next day is very important. And as you leave the physical space, it's also the inner talk that you have. So for instance, you can say, I'm leaving this space, I'm putting aside my work. So when we talk about physical, mental space, then what about the social boundaries that you need with your family? So these are more for yourself. And then there's the social. Okay, social. So what you could do is, because your partner doesn't know what kind of a schedule you have, so you could create an agenda for the day or even a timetable for the week. Both of you can put it up so that both of you can see it, or you can actually create certain invites using Google Calendar, or even a schedule. I know it sounds silly, but you can actually schedule even a Zoom meeting with your partner, so that you can do a check-in with each other through the day. So turn it into a game. Okay, so you can even create Zoom invites or meeting invites. And so what are some of the social boundaries that you can have? So it is funny, but actually me and my partner used to do this, which is, we would be in different rooms in the house, and my partner would say, how come you didn't check in on me? And I was like, well, I got engrossed and I got caught out, and I didn't know you were like waiting for me to come and see you. Why didn't you text me? And then we started to laugh, and then I told my partner it makes sense because the phone is just right next to me. So rather than you waiting and like, being angry in the bedroom, why don't you just text me? So it sounds funny, but yeah, with the phone, because we check in on the phone, and we also check in on the phone when we are free to go on social media and stuff. So this is a time to not interrupt your partner, especially when you are living in such close quarters. And so you can actually even text your partner, text, WhatsApp your partner, and you can have a date. You can have a short dates because it's all on the timetable. So you can do check-in. You can do check-in. You can do like a debrief of the day. You can have like a lunch date or a tea break, lunch date or tea break. You can use whatever words that you want to use so as to create little pockets of time with each other. And you might say, but they're in my space and I feel I can't concentrate. So that's why the whole thing about the physical, the mental, and then they know that if they need you, they can actually reach out to you, they can text you. So now that I talked about the little bit about the boundaries and the social, I want to talk a little bit about the me time, because we actually have a lot more me time when we're at the workplace. We have our lunch break, we have the commuting time, and even though you have saved on those time, however, there's also that time that people are used to having to compartmentalize. So when I talk about me time, I started to suggest to some of my clients that they can create a quiet corner for themselves, and that corner can actually be shared between them or certain people in the family who basically just needs a time out. So there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. I've had a busy day and I'm not able to really have a timeout. So we're just going to create this little corner, because maybe lack of space, you don't have a separate room. So you can create a quiet corner and say at any time when I just don't feel like talking and I just want to chill, do not talk to me. And you can bring your phone in and you can actually, if they want to talk to you, anything urgent, they can text you instead and not talk to you. So it's a timeout and you can create this for yourself. It's like a soothing corner to self-soothe. Or you can read a book, you can do your knitting, you can do your social media, you can do your binge watching. It is an established corner for both of you. Some people have a study room, and that's okay if you have a room. However, what if there's not enough space? So this is when you can actually create this little corner in the house. So when I talk about me time, don't forget, we are working from home, you're having meals with your partner, and maybe you just want a breather, you just want some time to clear your mind, so you can go for a walk. Okay, there's nothing with the COVID lockdown regulations that say you cannot exercise. They are just encouraging people to not congregate. So if you have social gatherings, it's not more than 2. And so you can still do light walks, you can still do exercises by yourself. So this is when you can actually put this onto your timetable and actually say, I'm going to go for a walk by myself. And you can also have certain tasks to have the me time. For instance, you can say, because there's no dining in, you can actually say, I'm just going to go to the shop and just walk around. Do try to avoid the malls, because as you know, there are many cases that has been reported by people going to malls. There are places that you can go and do your shopping without going into a mall. I was just describing in another video that I just made on my Instagram. where I made a video of me in a lemon, because you can have a filter. And I said this, which is during last year's lockdown measures, my office helper, who I hadn't seen for a few weeks, actually lost a lot of weight. And she said that she can't really like hang out with people on her off days, but she took up this exercise where she was cycling every day, a little bit every day, and over time got stronger and developed stamina. Another person that I connected with through COVID actually said that they started to run, because that is the one safe distancing activity that she could do. And so over time, again, build up stamina. So it doesn't mean that you really, just because you work from home, you have to stay at home. You can go out, but still adhering to the social distancing measures. So you could go for a walk by yourself, you could go cycle, you could go run, and don't think that you cannot ask for the me time from your partner and say, you know, I've hung out with you all day, and even though we didn't really speak, but I still need something to clear my mind, and I need to do this for myself. And there are people who feel guilty because they are already working from home, they are already very busy, though they get to see each other, they're not really talking, but you can still develop those practices where you do check in and do talk to each other the way that you would when you finish work every day, come home. You can still do all this check-in and chats in the evenings, and you can ask for it, you can schedule it, the me time that we need for ourselves, because you know what, this time is challenging. People are facing uncertainty, they are maybe afraid of being fired and things like that. So if we don't take care of ourselves, we don't take care of our mental health, we don't be gentle with ourselves, then we are more likely to snap at each other and be mean to each other, and that's not what you want. So by taking care of yourself, you're actually doing the relationship and the whole family a favor. So it's really important to think of it as something that is positive as opposed to something that is negative. And when you model this for your family and for your partner and for your children, they will also learn from watching you that they need to take care of themselves. So don't think of it as taking away from them, but really adding to you and adding to the relationship, to the family. And it is so important, because we work hard and we put 100% of ourselves into our workspace and into our careers. But what about into ourselves? And because it's not something that you can see or feel, it's intangible. So a lot of people don't really guard their mental health as much as they should. And so it's so important to develop a habit of checking in with yourself. Am I okay? Am I okay? What do I need to do to feel better? And it's not just about being okay, because we are conditioned to be okay. How about being more than okay? How about being great? How about being happy? How about being joyful? People who are happy are vibrant, juicy, yummy, sexy, and radiant. And it's so important to use these times, these challenging times, to actually develop the skills that you didn't need to learn before, and take this as a learning opportunity, because there are people who will struggle and there are people who will suffer, and then those people who actually treat this as a learning opportunity and actually tell themselves, you know what, this is a difficult time, I'm going to do everything that I can to learn the skills that the universe has given me, so that I really emerge stronger and better for it. There are people who are struggling, and there are people who actually turn this around, make lemonade out of lemons, and actually be thriving, not just okay, but thriving. So last year during COVID, I actually did so well. I got so much rest, and I was gentle with myself. I did chair yoga. I did so many wonderful things for myself. I played, I watched YouTube, Netflix, and things like that. Like, I really had a very good break. And because of that break, what happened was I was inspired. I was inspired to do things to help more people. So from last year's COVID to now, I created and I ran 4 virtual sexuality festivals. And I was part of several sexuality festivals virtually. But I actually created my own, and I actually brought people together. And ever since then, and I'm still doing it, now they have turned into monthly events for sugar and spice. So Sugar and Spice had 3 virtual sexuality festivals made out of Asian presenters, and now they have moved to monthly events. And so we already did 2 monthly, and now we are going into the 3rd. The first one was on sexual violence. The second one was on pleasure as part of Masturbation Month in May. And for June, being Pride Month, we are going to have different presenters talk about their sexuality and their sexual orientation. And what I aim to do is to create a kind of a playlist on YouTube so that people can have access to all these amazing presenters all around the world. And I'm very, very passionate about having more Asian representation, because I have been doing this for 12 years, and a lot of my clients say that they wish that there were more people talking about sexuality in a positive way other than myself. And it's so important that we receive the modeling and the healing that can happen when people gather, and also when we hear of each other's stories and voices and messages. And it's not enough for one person to keep talking about the same thing. I feel that different people with different voices, faces, representation, messages is so important for healing to start to take place when it comes to our sexuality. But as you can see, I'm very passionate about the work that I do. And I would really appreciate, now there's like this shout out, do check out my work at Sugar and Spice. That's www.sugarandspice.asia. And as a relationship counselor and a relationship and sexologist, I'm so happy that in June I actually have quite a number of things planned and scheduled. So I have been working with Disabled People's Association in Singapore. So next Saturday, we are going to do a sexuality training for parents around dating for their kids, so that they themselves get the confidence to talk about dating with their kids with disability. And then after that, the week after will be Saturday will be with their kids themselves, so that they can attend with their kids, and their kids can attend it if they feel comfortable with the content. And then on a request basis, the week after, the 3rd week, then they can actually schedule like private sexuality counseling with me. So I'm so happy that I'm able to work with people with disabilities, the parents. And yesterday I did a session for breast cancer survivors around sexuality. And I'm going to be part of like Instagram live chat with Asian parents on the 12th of June. So things like that, is made possible because of technology and because of more avenues to be able to help people. So I really love what I'm doing, and I love being able to help people. And so yeah, I'm very, very grateful for all the work that I'm able to do. And I hope that you take care of yourself so that you can live your life to the fullest, because our work is part of our legacy. And for me, I get a lot of joy and meaning from the work that I do. And I hope that you recognize that beyond work, we really need to be talking about the fundamentals, which is taking care of ourselves, establishing boundaries, being able to assert ourselves and actually check in with ourselves regularly. And also during this time, especially like check in with one another to make sure that the people that you care about, like they're okay too, and you can support them. So for the last few weeks, since this lockdown restrictions, I told my dad, like, I'm not going to come and see you, because he chose not to be vaccinated. And I have been vaccinated since February, but even then I am taking measures to make sure that I don't expose myself unnecessarily to the virus. And so yes, even though I don't get to see my dad, but I do check in with him, like, how are you? I do get food sent to the house to treat him, to give him a surprise, you know, because I love him and I miss him. So these are the things that, little things that you can do to stay connected, even though you are separated, because love transcends everything, time, space, and distance. So with that, thank you for watching this video, and you can leave your comments below, and please check out my work at eroscoaching.com, and also check out my upcoming event, sugarandspice.asia. So yeah, thank you. I'm turning off.